Alrighty, so UFC Kansas City in Machado Gary versus Carlos Prates just took place, and I'm here to give you my breakdown of the whole card. Now, if you're new around here, normally I have a beanie on. Fortunately, it's in the wash, so we're compromising with the hat. Let me know if it's aura. Let me know if it's not so aura, But yeah, anyways, let's get into the card here. Quick disclaimer, alright? I'll have my full numbers at the end of how well I did. I believe I went 11-3. I cooked this card. This card was fantastic, alright? Top to bottom, fucking amazing, alright? Even at the end, there's at least some highlight moments that we'll get to, It is sad what happened in the main event, but hey, the MMA God spoke to me. If you know, you know. Check out my prediction video. Obviously, the fights are over now, so who the fuck goes back to watch those prediction videos? Am I right, lads? Anyways, yeah, let's get into the breakdown here. Jocelyn Edwards versus Chelsea Chandler. Full transparency, it's a women's fight. I didn't watch it, didn't care, don't give a fuck. Saw the highlight. Damn, Jocelyn Edwards. Am I crazy? I like my, variety in terms of women. All right. And Jocelyn Edwards. Got a bad, not gonna lie, but yeah, got the pick right. If you don't know, I do this thing called a coin flip on every single event when it comes to women's fights, because I don't give a fuck about women's MMA. It's a joke. If you bet on it, hey, may whatever god you pray to, all right, give you fucking luck and courtesy or whatever the fuck it is. Don't care. Yeah, women fights suck. Don't care. Got the pick right. Coin got it right. Coin went 2-0. If anyone's curious on women predictions. Also, Coin is kind of goated this year. Not gonna lie. I think I'm just gonna use a coin for every women's fight. Moving on. Timothy Kwamba versus Roberto Hamero. I'm not gonna lie. After the first round, I kind of just saw Roberto like this guy's getting KO'd, and it was only because the dude is a punching bag. He's very not good. He's just not fast enough to deliver punishment, and it's almost like when he throws, his opponent has enough time to look at the punch, see it's winding up, back out of the way, and already think of a counter shot. And Timothy just picked it up on round 2 and whooped his ass. I don't know what they scored round 1. It was kind of close, to be fair. I think maybe you give it to Roberto, but he did get cut on the face, so it's kind of hard to score. Some people said early stoppage. I get why. I understand why people say early stoppage. Roberto was just taking a lot of punishment. It was almost like a lower quality of a Cameron Simon, Peyton Talbot. We'll get into him soon. Yeah, Roberto Romero, he was just a punching bag. Like Timothy Kwamba, when he wanted to, he would go in, land a huge combo, then do it again, and then do it again. Oh, he got clipped for the 3rd time. Okay, now time to do a different combo. And he ended up landing a flush head kick. I think he landed like a really good right hook. And then he went into the finishing sequence of that flying knee. And yeah, I mean, Timothy Kwamba chinned Roberto Romero. That's what happens when you're a punching bag. Alright, learn how to defend a fucking strike. Or shoot a takedown. I'll be honest. I saw this, and I'm like, this guy dropped David Onama in round 1? This guy gave Onama problems? Onama's cooked, alright? And I was about ready to bet the house on fucking Giga, but we'll get to it. But anyways, Timothy Kwamba gets done by KO. Fortunately, he's just a can. He is just an NPC side character in the UFC. He's not a named NPC, unfortunately, so he's not going to make it very far, so it is what it is. But good for Timothy Kwamba. I mean, he'll probably get bank destroying these featherweight bums, but yeah. Anyways, moving on. Jacqueline Morum, Polyana Viana. Honestly, if you just turned off the sound and you were staring at this fight, you could rub one out. I think you could probably rub one out. The angles the cameraman was getting. Ooh, that bird's eye view one. Oh my god. Yo, someone give that man a raise. Just saying. And I shit you not. Round 2. I picked Jacqueline, by the way. Or I should say the coin picked Jacqueline. Yeah. I mean, the finishing sequence literally looked like a scripted performance. Like, when you're in jiu-jitsu class and everyone's lined up against the wall and then you see the practitioner be like, all right, guys, so this is how you do a rear naked choke, right? And he shows you, okay, so this is what you don't do, all right? And this is what you do, right? I said do. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, that's what this was. Literally, Viana got taken down. Jacqueline quickly got the back. And then she locked in. This is the weird part. She locked in the choke correctly from what I've been taught. All right, you typically want to lock in. Hey, maybe the jiu-jitsu nerds can correct me here. Typically, you want to lock in and get like the Adam's apple around here-ish, right? You want to get like the forearm bone there, and then you just want to basically yank up, and as you're yanking up, you're cutting off that circulation. So what she did is that she was yanking, and Viana was like getting ready to tap, like a practitioner example, and then didn't tap because I guess she didn't have the fucking squeeze. And then she kind of pity tapped afterwards, because right after, Jacqueline went deeper into the choke, almost like the demonstration of how not to do a choke. And then she had like the neck sort of like here, like the head here. And that's not what you want to do because they can breathe. And yeah, explanations get long, but at the end of the day, it looks scripted. Okay, fuck these women fights. Moving on to actual fighters. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cameron Simon. Now, I went with Cameron Simon, alright? Okay? We're not shooting takedowns, Cameron. I kind of get it. And my prediction for this fight is that I thought he was going to lose the striking exchanges. And then based off him losing the striking exchange, he was going to implement his takedowns. You know, maybe he gets stung, maybe he gets wobbled, and then he starts shooting takedowns. What ended up happening was Malcolm Wellmaker lost every striking exchange. How many strikes did he land here? Yeah, bullshit numbers. He landed one strike, and that was the one that put him down. But he literally flatlined Simon. Simon was actually... Hey, Simon's young. I get it. Simon genuinely was doing well on the feet against Wellmaker. Like, he doubled up the jab. He landed really well. You could see the confidence. That's kind of like what fucks him over. You know, he kind of got like Carlos protested, you know, where he's just like, yeah, you're having success, and then you get slumped out cold, you know, Trevin Giles style. So it really does suck for Cameron. Brother, we're not shooting a takedown, career on the line. Someone explain to me how the fuck Ode Osborne keeps his career in 2025 and Cameron Simon gets kicked out. Someone make that make sense. That's got to be a fucking... This has to be rigged. Kidding, obviously. But, yeah, it does really suck for Simon. He got flatlined. Like, Peyton Talbot put a whooping on him. Cameron Simon got flatlined. Like, if they cut Cameron now, it's like, I don't disagree, you know, unfortunately. He is a fun fighter. I think he is still technically good. Wellmaker just has the power. Cameron Simon just... I guess Peyton Talbot fucking cracked the chin. Why does the sport have to be so soy? Fucking Peyton Talbot, god damn it. Horrible representation, nose ring wearing. Anyways, topic for a different video, I guess. But yeah, Cameron Simon lost. It is what it is. And I was getting worried here, because out of the coin flips, I got my two male fighters wrong, so I got a little worried here, guys, you know? And then we get Damon Blackshear, probably one of the most inconsistent fighters of all time. Not including Jalen Turner, but... yeah, Damon Blackshear shows up, and he does Damon Blackshear things. I actually respect Damon Blackshear a little bit more for the fact that he didn't get a submission. He didn't even really initiate any takedowns at all. But he looked really good. He looked fairly tough. Like, Alatang Haley never really got close to a finish like Cody Gibson almost had. So I think this kind of raises Damon Blackshear's stock a little bit more. That he went the full 3 rounds, didn't look gassed, looked really fit out there, was whooping Alatang Haley very clearly 3-1 or 3-0. Yeah, you know, happy for Damon Blackshear. Damon Blackshear gets it done, does Damon Blackshear things. Still think he's inconsistent. Do we give him a ranked opponent in bantamweight, guys? Probably not, even though that's what, his 4th win in a row? I think it's 4th or 5th, something like that. Broke his submission streak, alright? Come on, Damon, lock in, alright? But yeah, pick Damon Blackshear, happy you got it done. Inconsistent guy. Moving on, Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. I think it was a clear Chris 2-1. And Chris Gutierrez did Chris Gutierrez things. The problem with Chris Gutierrez, right? And this is my takeaway from the fight. John Castaneda, little bit of an inconsistent everywhere. At moments, it's almost like he gets a random buff throughout a fight, where it's just like his toughness will be maxed out and then randomly drop to like a 0. And then he'll get dropped, and then all of a sudden he's now got like maxed out toughness, Marvin Vettori chin level. Like out of nowhere. Like it's weird shit, to be honest with you. Or one moment he's fucking checking leg kicks, he doesn't mind going shin to shin, and then the next moment it's like his legs are getting chopped out by little tappy low kicks. It's really weird shit from John Castaneda. Young as well. Another thing to mention. But yeah, this was just classic Chris Gutierrez, you know, chopped low. He dropped them once, I think, in round 1, after getting laid on a bit, and I got a little worried, because I was like, this is where Chris kind of got exposed by Song. But, yeah, John kind of fumbled a few times on the ground, and let Chris get up, and Chris did Chris things. Gutierrez kind of has... He's almost got, like, this buff, where his... Most humans, you know, we got a jawline. Chris Gutierrez is one of these guys who has, like, almost like an incel chin, where it's kind of like a buff, where people are, like, swinging at him, and they just barely miss, you know? And Chris Gutierrez also, he's just one of these guys that really suffers. He fights like Israel Adesanya with Sean Strickland power. You know? Like, it's not really there. He can clip you if it's at a really good angle, but outside of that, he's not really going to put you out, you know what I mean? And he fights like Adesanya, who, like, pressures forwards, you know? Kind of like an Adesanya versus Paulo. Or something like that. But he just doesn't have the power to back it up. So sometimes he walks in, he gets a little, you know... He'll just go in to initiate headbutts, which is really weird. He did that, like, 3 times during this fight, where he ran in, blatantly trying to headbutt. I don't understand. Maybe the brain damage is kicking in at 35, 34, however old he is. But yeah, Chris Gutierrez gets it done. Classic Chris Gutierrez fashion, 29-28. Was just slightly ahead, I felt like, except for the... whatever round he got laid on for 3 minutes. I can't remember either the second or the third. Moving on, Evan Elder versus Gage Young. I'll be honest, I had responsibilities I had to attend to. But, yeah, I watched the first round. First round seemed pretty high pace. And then a nut shot happened, and that's when I had to go do my responsibilities. As we all do. But I picked Evan Elder. Looks like Evan Elder clearly won. Yeah, not much else I could really say. Hey, we keep it honest here, okay? We keep it honest and a buck here. But anyways, responsibilities ended, so I got to see the great Matt Chanel fuck up Jimmy Flick. And there's only one other human being in the UFC that I think is less intimidating than Jimmy Flick. Because Jimmy Flick, the jiu-jitsu guy, he's pulling guillotine 3 times, ending up on bottom every time. Matt Chanel gets top position for at least a minute every time. Pulling guillotines, almost having it locked in. Almost one arm rear naked choke Jimmy Flick in the third. Out-grappled Jimmy Flick in the third. And Jimmy Flick just fumbled the fight, pretty much. But, yeah, he did look like a alien in there. I think he was... Yeah, I do think he was actually 0% body fat, and he was all skin and bones. I'd never seen, like, a lesser intimidating human. Except for someone we'll get into. But, yeah, Jimmy Flick is just like... He's got both of these guys, you know? This wasn't like... This was vintage Matt Chanel in that he looked like he was in a movie. You know how he fights where it's just like... Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. You know? Like, he adjusts his head and then he throws. It's almost like he's like, my turn. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, your turn. Whoop, whoop. You know? You can almost hear the Street Fighter noises going in his head. You know? Very weird shit from Matt Chanel, but he gets it done. It is what it is. Happy for Matt Chanel. Got my pick wrong. Went with Jimmy Flick. Only other male I got wrong. I actually swept the main card. And speaking of the main card, moving on, we have Ikram versus Andre Muniz. Very Ikram performance here. Very, very Ikram performance. There's moments where you were like, oh, Andre Muniz, you know, he's a big dude. You know, middleweights are shit. Ikram did just get chinned. You know, and I basically just mean that Ikram's not looking like the minus 800 favorite or whatever he was. I think he was probably minus 5, minus 600 favorite that he was against Andre. But yeah, little bit of a late stoppage, in my opinion. I think they could have ended it any time before the 50 punches that were landed at the end. I think it was literally probably like 50 strikes at the end there, where Ikram's just fucking teeing off on the ground, ground and pound way. And Andre Muniz just had flashbacks from when Paul Craig did it, so, you know, obviously he had to resort to the Anthony Smith tactic of quitting. But yeah, Andre Muniz gets TKO'd via ground and pound in the first round because he sucks. Ikram did Ikram things. He might genuinely have one of the most gifted resumes in middleweight. Like, they've given this guy the most winnable matchups for him. You know? They've given him Phil Hawes. Guy was 0 chin, alright? And he kind of struggled in moments against there. They given him... Who was the guy after Phil Hawes? It was somebody... Oh, Waldo... Not Waldo. What was his name? Wallery Alves? Some shit like that. They gave him that guy, alright? In his hometown. Okay. And then they gave him Robert Whittaker when Ikram was unranked. Like, this guy... The privilege this guy has is... Gotta be studied. But yeah, he gets it done. Pick got right. Is what it is. Moving on. Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. Okay. So there's something I want to do here. Alright. Very impressive performance. Easily my pick for fight of the night. This was a fucking war. I know Nicholas Dalby's like 50 years old, but guys, this was a sick fight. This was like Nicholas Dalby going in there to die. Alright. Even though he's never been finished before. And Randy Brown going in there planning on dying. Alright, live by the sword, die by the sword. Love these gentlemen. So, we're giving them the aura glasses. Oh yeah, we're bringing it out. Hey, Randy Brown's earned it. Alright, now I have been not the biggest Randy Brown fan, as I did pick Brian Battle to absolutely school Randy Brown, and he did, to be fair. But wow, this fight was absolutely fucking electric. I actually loved bell to bell this whole sequence. Fight could be fight of the year. I think it might be KO of the year. And hear me out, okay? For the people saying, like, oh, it wasn't that good of a KO because it's a 40-year-old man. But it's also, this guy's never been KO'd before. And Randy Brown fucked him up. Like, broke his nose sideways in round 1. Mike Perry style. Alright, who does that to Dalby? Alright, Dalby had a really close fight against Renat. Arguably beat Renat. And Randy Brown whoops him. Now, granted, Randy Brown took some big shots. But when he was taking shots, he's like, yo, if I'm going to die, fuck it. And he just started swinging back. Like, this guy is sick. I'm a Randy Brown lover now. I hope Randy Brown does well. Will only make Brian Battle's win age even better. Like a fine wine, as I predicted. Yeah, Randy Brown got it done via struggle. But the struggle was met with absolutely warrior spirit. Love Randy Brown. And the fight, like, oh man, the finish was just so sick. You know, he's fucking, they're throwing heat, you know, Dalby gets caught. Then Randy Brown gets caught. He's stumbling backwards. Dalby's pushing forward. They're throwing heat. Fucking Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje style. Randy Brown fucking wings a right hand and just knocks Dalby out cold. Flatlined. Corpse on the canvas. That's what we like to see. Randy Brown's aura has skyrocketed. I don't give a fuck he got wobbled, alright? A lot of his brethren, we'll say, end up getting wobbled in their fights. But it doesn't matter because Randy Brown is... How do I say it? He is the next Robert well, that's welterweight. He is the Robert Whittaker to Brian Battle's Israel Adesanya, if you catch my drift. But, yeah, no, I'm happy for this fight. I think the KO is sick. And when you watch it back and you see Dalby's face get, like, you see the moment his brain turns off and there's just blood splitting. Oh, it was just so good, man. This is what we like to see as MMA fans. But, yeah, I brought out these glasses, by the way. You can pick them up on Amazon, if you're wondering. But yeah, these are my aura glasses. I think from now on, whenever I see the fight of the night, or the most aura gained by a fighter, I will put these glasses on, because they deserve it. But yeah, sick-ass fight. Really happy with the fight. Fight of the night, KO. Give them both 100K, honestly. They fucking earned it. Moving on, Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. Almost a flip. Alright, where these guys were just content of someone losing by a shitty decision. I did think Abus clearly won. I thought it was a very clear Abus win, like 2-1, arguably 3-0. And Michel Pereira, to his credit, had a better gas tank than I think a lot of people who watched Michel Pereira's last fight thought he was going to have. And as I got closer to the fight, I was sort of thinking like, yeah, Michel Pereira's probably not going to gas that bad. But Abus went from round 1, Randy Brown, to eventually devolving into a Sean Strickland with bad cardio. It's almost like his loss to Strickland. He's like, all right, I need to do what he does. And he just lifts his leg. He'll swap stance, lift leg, Muay Thai style, grab hands, fucking, you know, he'll beat you on a jab every single time because Abus's reach is absolutely insane. Yeah, Abus got it done. I thought pretty clearly wobbled Michel Pereira in moments. Michel's very battle-tested, which I think is kind of the problem with him later in his career. You know, 31, but he fights like he's like 37, if that makes sense. Especially in his last 2 performances, I'd say. Like, he almost fights like a shittier Galby, and Abus fights like a shittier Randy Brown. But both of them have like more HP, if that makes sense, you know? Yeah, Michel Pereira. Also, I couldn't pick Michel Pereira. I picked the boost, so I got the underdog right. Very risky, I'm not gonna lie. I was flip-flopping with this fight a bunch. Yeah, I picked a boost mainly because of the shit going on with Michel Pereira and, like, the background shit. The girlfriend, his wife divorcing him and calling the homewrecker out on Instagram. Like, shit like that, alright? If you don't know, shout out to We Want Picks. They do a pretty decent breakdown on what's going on. But, yeah, crazy shit. And I just think when a fighter has crazy shit like that going on in the background, ex-girlfriend coming into his life, you know, or like a homewrecker situation, wife divorcing you, you know, ex-wife took the kids, some shit like that, I can't pick you to win a fight, because I think the moment you start struggling in a fight, it'll start hitting you all the shit that's going wrong in your life. Not to get too deep, alright, but that's kind of what I think happens whenever a fighter, like, when a fighter breaks, I think it's because they think of all the failures and all the shit, like the bad shit going on in their life, and they just can't focus. You know, they can't lock it back in, you know? And I felt like Michel Pereira kind of had that, you know? He kind of broke his will in round 2, where it's just like, he's got no pop, he's not known for finishing after round 1, especially recently, especially at middleweight. And it's just like, Abus is just a long-rangey dude. There's moments where Michel could have went in and finished the fight. He just didn't have the energy to do it, you know? He didn't have the will to do it, in my opinion. Also, a little bit of an incel chin, alright, now that I'm noticing it. But yeah, he got rocked a few times by Abus. You know, shout out to Germany. Let's go, Abus. Yeah, I'm excited to see where Abus goes. Only make Sean Strickland's win age better, alright? That's all I'm saying. Moving on, Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. Somehow Giga gets nominated into the Hall of Fame for fighting Edson Barbosa. Someone else explain to me how else he gets nominated in the Hall of Fame or put into the Hall of Fame. Other than him being... Yes, brother. You know. Other than him being part of a certain area. Okay. And no, I'm not referring to Russia. I know he's Georgian. I think he's Georgian. Maybe Giga Chikadze. That's not really a Russian name. It's got to be Georgian. But I picked David Onama only because I just, like, hey, call it, like, casual whatever. I just can't see Giga Chikadze going to run. I'm a newer UFC fan, alright? I've been watching this sport for around 3 years, okay? I've seen Giga Chikadze fight Calvin Kattar. I've seen Giga Chikadze fight fucking Arnold Allen, you know? I've seen him go through that groin injury issue. I can't see this guy going on a run at 36 years old, coming off a groin, I think it was a groin tear, something like that, injury, and off a split loss to Arnold Allen. Like, I just couldn't see it, you know? And he's fast. little chinny. David Onama almost knocked him down. David Onama had the best round 1, I think, of his entire career. You know, barring finishes. You know, absolutely stellar performance from David Onama in the first round. Second round, a little risky. And then I think he... Was it the second round where he got wobbled? Or no, first round he got wobbled pretty bad, I think. Or maybe that was the second. I'm mixing up my rounds now. Regardless, David Onama had one really good round and then got clipped near the end. And then the second round, I want to say, he just got a takedown and he was able to successfully hold him on the ground, Giga on the ground. And here's what I'll say. It wasn't entertaining, but it was a win. And that's what David Onama went for, you know? When you're Giga Chikadze and you're making mistakes on the ground, you know, you're trying to reverse positions the wrong way, and then you end up on bottom, like, even in a worse position. Well, David Onama's got, like, full control over you, landing big shots. I just... Like, how do you expect him not to just exploit you on the ground if you got a big ground weakness, you know? I don't know. That's my personal take. David Onama looked locked in despite some YouTubers' propaganda, MMA Guru. All right, promoting that David Onama shows up to training like, or misses training practice a couple times a week, stuff like that. All right, I will not stand for this propaganda. All right, on David Onama's name. I'm not even a David Onama glazer. I don't even like the kid that much. I think it's cool that he beat, I think, AIDS or something like that. But yeah, interested to see where he goes. I picked David Onama simply because I just couldn't see Giga going on a win streak this late in his career, you know? 36 years old. We already have Josh Emmett, okay? We already have someone pushing 40, all right? We already have the Dan Ige, okay? We don't need you, little bro, all right? We don't need this fucking mega mind whitewashed version, all right? We don't need this guy, all right? But yeah, David Onama wins. I continue to sweep the card, and we get to Porky the Pig versus Zhang Ming Yang. Classic Anthony Smith performance. Anyone who knows, knows. Yeah, he gets a cut, and he starts wincing at his eye, and then he quits. I mean, Zhang kept on landing elbows. Anthony Smith would get hit by an elbow, and it's like, I'm gonna elbow back. Yeah. And then his elbow does 0 damage. This is like watching... It's like watching a mirror match, you know? And in the mirror match, it's like you're playing Pokemon Pocket TCG, right? And you have a Charmander against a Charmander, right? And you use Ember, right? And it hits the Charmander. And then the other Charmander, right, just has a coin flip attack, and it misses the coin flip every time, right? And it's just like, brother, stop going for the fucking coin flip, all right? Send in something else. You know what I mean? That's all Anthony Smith does. He just does shit that does not do any damage after taking damage. Like, you're not winning. I'm sorry. Like, you can't win, brother. You know? Porky the Pig here. He got whooped, too. And then he obviously, Anthony Smith cope. You know, if I was in my prime, I would have beat him. Yeah, but, you know, Father Time takes all. Father Time took this one. Damn you, Father Time. And then he had his fucking celebration that he got illegally kneed by John Jones and didn't take the DQ. On paper, he beat John Jones, guys. All right? How the fuck did John Jones ever take this guy to a 5-round decision? That needs to be studied, genuinely. But, yeah, Anthony Smith gets a standing ovation, 20-minute fucking video by Jelly Roll. Gets his own song and everything. I think it was his own song. I don't know Jelly Roll's playlist. Despite me looking like Jelly Roll, according to some of my friends, okay? If I had any. No, I'm joking. But, yeah, he gets a standing ovation. Stipe got, it's been an honor having you in the cage. And then a walk-off. Former heavyweight champion, arguably the heavyweight GOAT. Gets, it's been fun. And Anthony Smith gets a whole retirement package. Alright. Again, newer fan. Maybe I just don't have enough skin in the game, but... Yikes, it's just rough to see, man. It really is rough to see. But yeah, it is what it is. Moving on to the main event. Now, unfortunately, guys, I did warn you, okay? As much as we all wanted Platez to sleep this cuck, alright? As much as we all wanted a corpse on the canvas, all right? In front of his son, all right? In front of the crowd, chanting Ian Gary, just getting slept, you know? In front of all that trash talk. I hit harder than Prates. I do this, I do that, blah, 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 right? The MMA gods, they told me beforehand in my prediction video, Ian Gary is going to win by decision. And he won by decision. He doesn't have the finishing potential to beat anyone. He is the least intimidating human being inside the UFC. I don't think there's a single one that matches it. He's got a little pea head, no chin, incel chin. Helped him in the fight, to be fair. He's got a short reach for his height. He's got long, lengthy legs that do 0 damage. And his grappling is some of the most pussy shit I've ever seen. You know? It's, he makes fucking Kron Gracie looks good on the ground. Or entertaining on the ground, I should say. Because, you know, Gracies are good on the ground. That's their whole thing. But, Ian Gary, this kind of was a flip of what I think a lot of people are saying. Now, I did say Ian Gary was going to have success with the head kicks. I just want to point that out, alright? I called it perfectly. This whole fight I called almost pitch perfect, except for the final 2 rounds. And Ian Gary, round 1, was just whooping Prates, alright? On the feet. I can't believe it either, okay? I can't believe it either. On the feet, he was whooping Carlos Prates. And then you start thinking, oh, okay, Carlos Prates, you know, he'll at least have a really good round 2. A lot of people are picking round 2 Carlos Prates. Round 2 happens. Ian Gary's still mopping the floor with Prates. Shooting decent takedown attempts, but getting stuffed, alright? Landing really good head kicks, landing really good body kicks. None of them really doing all that much damage, but it's like his numbers are higher, right? In every round, I'd say. Damn, he doubled the strikes. It was like, at one point, the stats showed up. It was like, round 1 was 21 to like 4 on strikes. Round 2 was like 24 to 9 on strikes. It was crazy. But yeah, round 3 happens. Ian Gary wobbles Prates with a nice like uppercut, I believe. Sort of like Leon Edwards style, where he's kind of like guarding in an awkward way. Gets wobbled pretty bad. Carlos is on the back foot. He's also got a cut at this point. Ian Gary's cut hasn't reopened yet. And Ian Gary's doing really good on the feet, you know? Admittedly, man. Fuck. But round 4 happens, and Ian Gary's doing well. He's doing well. And then we start seeing, you know, some huff and puff from Ian Gary. Carlos Prates has been huffing and puffing since minute 1, all right? He's been tired, all right? But you start seeing Ian Gary huff a little bit, right? A cut shows up, reopens on his cheek, and you start seeing like, oh shit, Prates is kind of mogging this guy right now. I'm not gonna lie, you know, the Sean Woodson, who had a little bit of the Randy Brown DNA, popped out of Sean Woodson's back, crawling around. He's kind of gaining some aura here, and by the end of round 4, I had it for Prates. I would have never predicted round 4 and 5 to be Prates, by the way, just saying. But, yeah, Prates, round 4, he got up, I think, from a takedown. Ian looked like, like disheveled. And Prates was like, yo, fuck your hand. We ain't touching gloves. Come here, boy. You know, and he was just walking his ass down, looking like a nightmare, looking like he's about to go in for a finish. And then the round gets called 5 seconds early. Really weird shit from the UFC. And then in round 5, it's almost like the soy that was rubbing off on Ian Gary's aura the whole time, like the glove touching, the hugging, the chatting while they were in the clinch, shit like that. It's almost like that wore off, and Prates was like, let me lock in and actually knock this fucking soy boy cuck out. Alright? He locks in, and I can't wait to get a GIF, to get a fucking image or something of just Ian Gary fucking letting Prates up, and as he's trying to get away, he's like crawling away to the cage, eyes closed, like, oh, Layla, save me, Layla, it's not my turn, yeah? And he's fucking hands up, you know, eyes closed, getting wailed on by Prates, fucking slamming him, minute left, you know, and it's starting to look like, oh my god, Ian Gary might get finished in the 5th round. Prates is landing good, landing heat, opening up cuts on Ian Gary. Nose is bleeding. Everything is going You know, Ian Gary's wincing at shots. His eyes are closed. He's on the ground begging for mercy as Protest is just fucking raining shots. But in the final, like, 45 seconds, you could just see the pack of cigarettes kicked in, and Protest just didn't have it in him to finish the fight. He just didn't. Hands down, walking to Ian Gary, miles away, and it's like, brother, this is your moment. You know, if you had that championship mindset, you'd be running in, regardless, hands low, whatever the fuck, and just trying to get a KO at this point. You know, you're down 3 rounds. You're not winning by split. I'm sorry. No chance, right? Clear Ian 3-1 at this point in the round 5. And Ian Gary just barely survives. Barely survives. You saw moments where, like, Ian Gary would get hit by a shot, and it's like, oh my god, the next one's going to put him out. But unfortunately, that's how he looks in every single fucking fight, man. Shavkat did the same thing with a few overhands. MVP did the same thing. And at the end of the day, I got the prediction fucking perfectly right, unfortunately, due to the MMA gods whispering it to me. Ian Gary is tougher than a lot of people give him credit for. Doesn't have power to finish with his hands. Kicks, maybe, but he doesn't throw enough with enough intention. He is fast, to be fair, but he's vegan, so there's the debuff of negative aura. And he's so soy that his energy will rub off onto other fighters, and they'll make the other fighter be like, ah, we're just sparring right now. Touch, touch. Oh, let's touch gloves. Haha. Oh, I'm Brazilian too. Oh, you fight out of Brazil? Haha. Like that's who Ian Gary is. Now, does he beat Sean Brady? Does he beat what's his name? Joaquin Buckley? No. I genuinely, Usman, good odds. Maybe not with his knees. Okay, to be fair. I'd put Buckley as like a minus 225 favorite on Ian Gary. I'd put Sean Brady, I'd put like a minus 250 on Ian Gary. If Carlos Protest is reversing position, great takedown defense, to be fair. Sean Brady is going to wet blanket the fuck out of Ian Gary if they ever fight. I do still think Ian Gary beats Bilal, though. I'm not a fan of Ian Gary. I wish he got slept. He didn't. This card was fantastic. Cherry on top would have been him getting slept in the 5th. Didn't happen. Is what it is. Fighting nerds finally get a loss in the UFC. And it is Sir Carlos Protest. The least tested of them all. We can all be honest. You know, I know Ruffy, his wins over Green. But, like, a win over Bobby Green, in my opinion, is a much better win than, like, a weird KO over Neil fucking Magny. Just being honest. Right? So, yeah. I rate the lawn top win that Huffy had a little bit better than the fucking Neil Magny win. I know they're not ranked, or it's not like the same ranking or the same thing, but that's kind of how I view it personally. Even though I respect Magny, I do think he's a great gatekeeper. But yeah, Ian Gary won this by being Ian Gary. And yeah. But yeah, tune in next week. I've got a lot of things coming up, so I might not be able to get as many videos as I like for the next couple weeks. But yeah, next week we got Corey Sandhagen and a fellow Ginger versus Davison Figueiredo. This one looks pretty interesting, not gonna lie. This one actually looks very tantalizing, you know? Very tantalizing. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I want to thank you for watching. And as always, I hope you have a good day.